Hi, welcome to Turning the Keys podcast, the place where I will share the insights and tools that have helped me in my journey, and maybe this can help you too or serve you somehow. I am Anara Satan, and I am glad to be here. What I want to talk about today was inspired on an Instagram comment, and in one of those days where I was scrolling too much. The post was about a father figure in a child's life, but the comment that called my attention was, "You can call yourself peaceful unless you're capable of great violence." And this was like strange when I read it the first time, but then it made total sense to me. Like, are we really choosing peace or are we just unable to fight? And I believe that we have some emotions that are underrated, and I feel like anger is one of them. And I have a strange relationship with anger because I don't know, I think it's because when you go through some situations in your life, you develop defense mechanisms, and it was my chosen one because it was effective. But everything that is too much has the potential of make us unbalanced, and this goes for defense mechanisms as well. I think that sometimes we see people doing things that we believe we will never do, but we probably would if we've been through what this person been through. And we probably did in our past lives. So we'd be like, oh, I'm capable of taking someone else's life. But if you feel so adamant about it, it's likely because you already did this and this is written in your soul. And it probably took you places that you don't want to revisit. And that's why today you're like, okay, this is a no go to me. We are quick to judge people because we had the privilege of forgetting the things that we have done in another incarnation. But sometimes this spirituality allow us to access this information because we can be having a problem in this life, which the starting point was in another life. So I don't want to get too technical about those things, even though because what I know it's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the truth. But today I want to talk about accessing memories from past lives. And the way that I'm being invited to talk about this subject is by sharing something personal about myself. So God help me. Well, for some reason that is not completely clear to me, I have this ability to access memories from another lives. But those memories, they don't come just out of curiosity. It's completely the opposite. Like I was never searching for this. It was always presented to me when I was trying to solve something and I was not finding the exit of that problem. And then the universe would show me, hey, what if you take a look here? And then I, was presented those memories. I've seen a couple of them, but three I kind of consider the most important because I've seen it more than once and because I know that some karma I've been living are related to those lives. And to simplify, karma is basically the consequences of your actions. So everything you've done, good or bad, will come back to you. And it can come back from one life to another and to be continued in future lives as well if we don't solve it. And the way to solve our karmas is by living in our dharma, which is our soul's path. Why we do things and how we do things are part of our dharma. And just a curiosity, the word dharma comes from Sanskrit and means to support or to sustain. So the support you get, this purpose you have in your life is not random. It was developed for you to solve your karmas. And I have discovered so far a couple of lives, but as I said, those three were those that I was seeing the reason why things were happening in a certain way for me in this life. So, one of my most recent incarnations, I believe, for like the clothes I seen and the lifestyle, that it was happening in the 70s. And the first time I ever saw this, I was a teenager. It was in a dream. And I think I said before that I have this things with dreams when I can get messages and I can interpretate the message on the dreams. I can learn like if I should take some action or if I should pay attention to someone or to a situation. And I also have those dreams when they are too real to be a dream. So they are either memories from another lives or they are an astral projection. But of course, I didn't know any of that when I was 16. I remember I had this dream and I was a Japanese woman. I was kind of short. I had, straight hair like the Japaneses do. And I had a really skinny body. Like I didn't have much muscles. I didn't have any curves. And I was working in a jeans store. And this store was in New York. The dream was kind of basic. It was like I was arriving at this store where I worked, and I was not the boss, but I had a vibe that I was the person in charge, like I was competent. And on the dream, I was just folding a lot of jeans and organizing the store stock. And then my boss will come and ask me a question that it was asked to him by another employee and he didn't know the answer. So he will come to me and I will answer and I will take him to the stock and show him something. And I remember that I went to school and I told my friends, I dreamed this and I had the feeling that I was this Japanese woman. And something that I noticed when I was recording this episode is that by that age, like 15, it was when I was learning more and more English. And as I said in another episode, I learned English by myself by listening to music and seeing the translation of the lyrics. But I didn't know I was fluent until I moved to New York when I was 24. And it was strange because I don't remember like studying a lot, but it was easy for me. And I believe that one of the reasons that it was easy was because I was not completely learning English, I was remembering English because I already knew. I was living in New York in another life. And I had a dream of living in New York again. But when I was there for the first time in 2017, it was so weird because I had the feeling that it was not new. Like I was there with a bunch of au pairs and everybody was, mesmerized by New York, by Central Park and all the touristic areas in Manhattan. And I had this strange feeling that I knew that place, which was strange because I haven't left my state in Brazil until that point. And I was walking on the New York streets with those girls and I was feeling nostalgic. I didn't make any connection with this dream I had when I was 15. I was just living my life, exploring the museums and getting to know the city for a couple of months. And I was living this phase of my life where everything was amazing. Like I had a lot of distractions. I was not thinking about my soul or my spirit. I was trying to be a good person, but I was mostly trying to travel and get to know people and get to know things, having new experiences. And as everything comes to an end, I went back to Brazil and I had what I call my conscious awakening because a lot of things started to come to the surface. And it was 2021. I was single for a couple of months. I was diving in my self healing journey. I was kind of needy, I feel. And at the same point, I was, trying to protect myself and blocking out the emotions and blocking out the people until I met this guy. And I don't know if it's because I had a couple of bad relationships or, I'm just picky, but it's difficult for me to find people that I get truly interested in. And this guy truly called my attention, and I was kind of obsessed with him. I thought he was kind of cute, but I was not like madly attracted to him. He was not the kind of person that had like a sex appeal. He was just, a normal guy, but I was obsessed with him and I over invested in this relationship, which was not even a relationship. It was just a guy. But there was a spiritual thing happening there because I started to talk to this guy 2 days before going to a spiritual retreat. And this retreat was about the feminine energy. The retreat was great. I made friends there that we are still connected until today. But met this guy. I went on this trip. I stayed there with no phone for a couple of days. And when I came back, I was trying to meet him, but there was always something that happened and it would never work for us to see each other. It took us a couple of weeks until we were able to meet in person. And it was a nice date, and I left there with the feeling that we will see each other again. But I started to dream about this guy, and on the dreams, he was always angry at me. Very, very angry. Which was weird because it didn't match his personality. He was a calm guy. He was even kind of passive. I couldn't picture him being angry. So I found the dreams were kind of weird. We kept talking and then we met each other another time and kept talking some more. And on our third date, I was like, okay, today is the day. Because this guy, he was shy and avoidant. And I was needy and insecure. So it was giving me anxiety like, are we going to kiss or what? So I came determined to find that out on our third date. So I went to his house, he cooked for us, we were in this flirtatious vibe, and he mentioned something about being shy and having difficulties to understand when a woman was giving him the go ahead sign for him to have a physical interaction with her. And then I look at him and saying, kind of joking, yeah, if you're wondering if you can kiss me, you can when you want. And he said, okay, kind of was shy about it. And we kept talking. But when I stand up, this guy grabbed me and kissed me. And I was like, wow, he's not shy. But it was a weird energy. It was not bad. It was just strange because it felt like familiar, like a reconnection somehow. And after this, I had promised to help him to meditate. So we light an incense, turn on a relaxing song, and he lay down on my lap, and I was doing like a guided meditation. And after a while into this meditation, he opened his eyes and looked at me, but it was like he was looking at my soul because it was strange. And I saw in his eyes for a fraction of seconds the same anger I was seeing when I was dreaming with him. This was so fast. It was like coming to me like a wave. And the song we were listening to was about waves. It was about the ocean. And I returned that wave with a lot of love and a lot of peace. And his expression changed. He looked at me surprised and closed his eyes. That was the last time I saw the guy. I was struggling to accept when he started to ghost me because I was like, what the heck? The guy looked into my soul. How come we don't have something? Thank God I was already in my self love journey. So I was like, I'm not going to chase this guy, even though I want to, even though I am obsessed. I will do my work to release because I don't chase, I attract. And a couple of weeks later, I was doing a spiritual work and it was a really deep one. And in my conscious mind, I already had, forgotten about this guy. I was like, he was not the one, so let's move on with my life. But my spiritual guides brought this guy back and explained to me that they interfered in our relationship for my protection because this guy's spirit hated me. And they told me that it wouldn't be safe for us to have a physical connection because, when you trade sexual energy, it is a spiritual work. And I would just bring a lot of hate into my field if I had this kind of a relationship with him. And I remember that the kiss that we had, I tasted blood, but I didn't cut myself. And I asked him if he was okay. And he said he didn't taste anything. And they told me that he hated me, but they allowed us to connect so he could this opportunity to forgive me and it will be good for both of us. So when he looked at me surprised, it was because of that. Like, I hate this person so much because she's a horrible person. But he didn't see this horrible person. He saw a person that I was sending love to him. So he was like, who are you? And why am I hating you? So the forgiving point was reached, and we didn't need to have a connection anymore. The reason the spirits of this guy hated me so much was because in this incarnation, when I was in New York and I was this Japanese woman, I got pregnant and this guy was my boss. And he was like obese, very lonely. He didn't have anybody interested on him, and he kind of had a crush on me. And I got pregnant from somebody else. I don't know if the guy was poor. I don't know the situation completely, but I tried to seduce this guy that was my boss. So I would tell him that I was pregnant of him and he would raise my child because he had money. He was my boss. And I saw this scene. I saw like myself on top of this guy and he was feeling like it was the best day of his life. And now I was feeling the most disgust I ever felt. And I knew in that moment that I couldn't sustain that life, that I couldn't marry that guy, that I couldn't have this kind of relationship with him. So I decided to do an abortion. And I have the brilliant idea of doing this abortion with a hook from the store I worked. I went to the bathroom and tried to do this, like tried to put this hook inside of me like it was nothing, like I was changing my tampons. But it went up bad and I ended up bleeding out and dying. And the person who saw me first was my boss. And when he understood what I have done, he hated me. He hated me initially because he thought the baby was his. But then he met the true father of the baby and he was hating me because I lied to him and I tried to trick him into believing that I was into him when I was just trying to use him to have this baby. I would never do something like this in this life. Like, I would never seduce somebody that I'm not into just to take some advantage out of them. And especially, I would never do an abortion, right? The things I've done in another life is not something I am proud of. And that's why we have a valid reason to forget that. And we also have a valid reason to remember that. Remember that I said that when we remember parts of other life, it's always because of a reason. It's not because, oh, let me see if I was a queen. No, there is always a purpose on that. And I got pregnant 6 months after I remembered this part of my past life. And my pregnancy came to me in circumstances that it will make sense for me to do an abortion. And I swear to God that the reason that I didn't even consider doing it, it was because I had this acknowledge that I died doing this in my past life. So for me, it was not a possibility to do the same mistake again and taking my chances of making my life shorter. If I haven't seen this, I don't think I would continue with my pregnancy. Remembering something horrible that I've done was the way to prevent me from doing something horrible again. And I am so grateful that I chose right this time because my son is the biggest blessing I've ever had. And motherhood has been teaching me so many valuable things and has been helping me to connect with my true essence that I couldn't imagine myself going through another path. Going through life without this experience will make zero sense. And it's probably the reason that I died, because what's the point? I'm not saying that everybody that chooses abortion is going to die. And from a political standpoint, I am pro abortion. I think that women should have the right to decide how they want to proceed with the pregnancy. Because, yes, motherhood is a blessing, but it's not easy, especially if you don't have money, especially if you don't have a support system. And even more if this pregnancy didn't come from a consensual intercourse. I am not here to romanticize the situation. I am here to say that even though it can make a lot of sense for you to make this decision, and you can have a million reasons for that, reasons that will be supported by a lot of people, I am pretty sure those reasons are mostly based on the material world. If you look to the spiritual world, would it make this much sense? And I'm not talking about spirituality in the sense of, oh, when does life begin kind of BS discussion. I'm talking about your karma. I believe a pregnancy, it's always a dharma because it's the gift of life. It belongs to the universe. We have no control when we will get pregnant. Even if you want with all your heart and you do everything according to the books, you don't know if it's going to work. How many people do you know that tried to get pregnant and couldn't, and people that didn't try to get pregnant and did? This is beyond us. And every new life that comes to this planet has a purpose. And what is purpose? Dharma. There is a reason for you to be the mother of this child. I'm not here judging anybody's choice. One, because it's not my right to do, and two, because it's not my karma. Whatever choice you make, you are going to be the one dealing with the consequences of it, not me. I'm just here saying from sister to sister, this not might be the best option for you. All the shame, the fear, the loneliness can be easier to deal with than missing this opportunity the universe is giving you to live your dharma. And if you're angry listening to this could be a sign that this message is directed to you. Maybe this episode was recorded to reach one person in a specific that is dealing with the situation right now. I wish you to find light in your pathway and peace in your heart. And for those who are not living the situation but listen unto here, just know that learning about past lives is interesting, but it only makes sense if it has a purpose. Don't try to do this out of curiosity. Okay. Thank you for your time. See you.